And welcome to the Flightdeck podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to royalretros.com, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper. You can follow me on X or Blue Sky at Repact. That's REPPACT.
Howdy, partner. This is Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and on Blue Sky over at Cliffy D.
You're not happy to make reference to our game theme this week, are you?
Maybe. Well, we also just had Lasso here in Montreal, and
Oh, yeah.
I guess
Okay.
the country vibes are in the air, so to speak. So I guess I thought it was apropos.
How far
But
do you think we could how far do you think that we could take this show before people would stop listening if we continue to do the show in a southern accent? What do you think there, bye? Hey.
Boy, it was a little more. That's a little more East Coast, but Southern accent, y'all. Oh my
Yeah,
lord.
buddy.
Good Lord, we're going to do this. We're going to be talking about them Alouettes. Yeah, get her done.
Oh my God. I think we just lost everybody.
Yeah, I think we're just talking to ourselves now. So,
Yeah. If anybody happened to miss the therapy session on for Flight Deck Live, go back and watch. It was therapeutic. It really was. And I mean, at least you can say that you watched the longest ever Flight Deck Live that we have done. We try to keep them anywhere between, when we're at on field 30 minutes or if not up to an hour, but people started chiming in and I kind of felt like I was going to say Dr. Ruth. That's the wrong type of call-in show. Uh, Phil Donahue.
just a little bit.
I'm really dating myself by bringing up Phil Donahue. Oh my God, Maury Povich? No,
I was going to say
I'm
Dr.
not.
Drew.
I'm not.
But
I'm not saying Dr. Phil.
it's not even a real doctor for crying out loud.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, being a real doctor. But it was again, it was therapeutic, and it's a one time during the year that at least for the past 21 out of the last 25 years that we get to do it. And I think it's been all actually ever since we've been doing this pod, it's been every year. It's been every year.
Some streaks just aren't meant to die so easily, and this happens to be one of them. I mean, we even talked about it. Well, every time we talk about this, whenever the Montreal Alouettes go to the BC Place, we talk about it. Death, taxes, and losing at BC Place.
Mm-hmm.
And 2025 was clearly no exception to that.
No, it was not. Owls lose a lot to a little. Final score was the BC Lions 36, Jose Maltos 12, and 12? 12. Yeah, 12.
Yes.
And the Alouettes offense 6. So if you're trying to math that, it's 18. And we did I think I did it during the show. I mean, Cliff, what did I say? Was it the last 10, 12 shows? Since our last win there, I think that the Alouettes are losing by an average score of 19 points.
Terrible.
That's, yeah. But I mean, it's funny. Obviously, there are storylines. We had uh, a very interesting reveal from Alouettes communications director Joey Alfieri for the single day of practice that we had this week about certain guys who were there. It's promising. It really is. James Morgan, he was in the scrum the only scrum that they did this week. And he called what was happening, just the BC portion, and I guess what's happening recently with the Owls and their slide. It's, a learning lesson. I mean, I don't know how much more we can learn. It's not like we can go to Rosetta Stone and figure out what it is.
I know school's starting back up, so I mean, is that the reason why all of a sudden we got to do a whole bunch of learning? I mean, it's
something. But I mean, it's sort of apropos for James also, considering what he's now been thrust into.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the pluses here if we can find some, and we'll move on because as I said, if you haven't watched Flight Deck Live, go watch it. Uh, the as I said, the fans who came in, they helped. They helped, and we were able to talk about it, and everybody was able to get stuff off their chests, and you didn't have to call in. You just could just chat. You could just chat. That's all
Exactly.
you had to do. So,
And that's one thing we talk about
um,
during Flight Deck Live is it is interactive as much as we try to be as interactive as much as possible. So yeah, always, whether it's you're watching on YouTube, X, Facebook Live, you have a chance to make some comments. We see them, we'll highlight them. We'll even discuss them. We'll have some fun with it. That really is what helps make losses like this a little bit easier to digest. I mean, losing is never fun, but have everybody sit down, you know, hash it out, and I guess it's a good feeling to know that you're not alone in this. Like I think everybody in Alouettes Nation is frustrated when it comes to how do the Alouettes keep losing at BC Place, and it doesn't matter who the coach is, the general manager, the starting quarterback. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They just can't win, and it is frustrating, folks. There's no question about that. But nights like Saturday nights, everybody comes on board here on this is a safe space, by the way. It always has been, it always will be for Alouettes fans, and just hash it out. And that's what we did, and I'm glad we did it. As you said, it was the longest Flight Deck Live we've ever done, and in its own way, it was kind of therapeutic for the soul.
I'm just looking at the list. You talk about who we've had at quarterback. I'm trying to go back. Let's go back 10 years. Um, two more, Capper. All right. So in that time, we're 1-9, and here are the quarterbacks that have quarterbacked the Alouettes in BC Place. There's only been two quarterbacks that have done it twice: Troy Smith, Rakeem Cato for 2 years, Darian Durant, Drew Willie, Matt Schiltz, Cody Fajardo twice, and then Caleb Evans. That's just the last 10 years, and it goes kind of with the storyline itself. Obviously, everybody knows what happened with Caleb, and we'll talk about it. But it back when AC was QB1, it was this AC, 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 AC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get it, but again, we'll talk about, because I really think Caleb is the storyline. James Morgan is the storyline. And what we found out at practice this week is the storyline also, obviously. But Caleb Evans came, he was, 3 of 4, 32 yards. James Morgan came in 24-33, 211 yards. And by the way, Steve, CFL stats guru Steve Daniel came through. That places James with his 211 yards. That places him 11th all time in Alouettes history for a quarterback coming off the bench in a game. And were you surprised? I did put this on social, but Cliff, were you surprised with the gentleman who is number one on that list?
Pleasantly surprised, I guess it would say, but I guess we really shouldn't be, considering his penchant for heroics. That would be friend of the show Tanner Marsh,
Yeah.
an Alouettes legend in his own right. Yeah, when it comes to someone like stepping in and basically going into hero mode,
Mm-hmm.
few were better at that time than Tanner Marsh in doing so for the Montreal Alouettes. So for him to be number one on that list for for coming off the bench and posting so many yards, no, does not. It shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise anybody. But I mean, it's still incredible to hear, nonetheless.
Yeah. He did it. It was 329 yards. August 22nd, 2013. AC was second at 276 in 1998, and Trevor Harris at 270 in 2022.
That's a lot
Um,
of
I
dinking
was
and
trying to,
dunking.
yes, a lot of dinking dunking. I was going to look here. Wouldn't it be funny if Tanner's game was versus BC?
Was that not?
I'm looking right now because I know. I know certain things were said that were wrong on the internet. The internet's wrong, Cliff. Um,
Are you telling me that there's disinformation on the internet right now in the year 2025?
but yeah, potentially. August 22nd,
If they would have warned
2013.
us.
I know.
Fake news everywhere.
It was at home versus BC. He came in for Josh Neeswander. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Cliff,
That
was that the rain game?
that is the rain game. That is the game that Marsh Madness, as they called it, came alive. And he I still marvel how what a Herculean effort it was for him to get that win. I mean, it literally took all 60 minutes to get that win. But
Mhm.
that would be the rain game that Tanner Marsh basically made himself a household name in Montreal and conversely in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, exactly. But again, we'll talk about what happened to Caleb here. Leading rusher for the Alouettes was Travis Tice, and then Stevie Scott, who was just activated. He had 23 yards. Leading receiver for the Alouettes was Tyler Sneed with 111 on 5 catches, 8 targets. I think that's his fourth straight game with eight plus targets, if I remember correctly, from what the CFL put out last week. Charles Rambo with 46, Travis Tice with 41. Um, Obviously Jose Maltos Diaz, or if we want to give his full name, Jose Carlos Maltos Diaz. 4 of 5. And one thing I didn't mention on Flight Deck Live because it didn't come to me while we were doing the broadcast. By the way, he had hit 17 straight. This is killer.
Isn't it incredible that he can hit a 58-yarder with no problem, with leg to spare? But then was it a point after attempt, or was it just like a 20? No, it was a 24-yard field goal attempt that he doinked.
It was far, yeah, and it doinks off the upright. And remember, Cliff, his streak earlier this year was also a ball off the upright. He technically is not missed outside of the.
True. He technically has not missed in the sense that he has made the distance. It definitely hit the upright. I mean, how do you say doink in Spanish, by the way? El doinko?
That's a very good question. You really want me to look this up? Let's look this up.
No.
Oh, come on! Don't you know if it sounds something bad?
Maybe next time.
I don't know how that, because to me this is not the word, but the word is haciendo.
Haciendo?
No, haciendo. Haciendo.
Haciendo.
It says it can be translated in several ways depending on the context.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Well,
But
next time we see Mr. Maltos, we will have to confirm that with him. I mean, we want to talk to him about doinks, but listen, we're trying to be journalists.
Streaks were stopped by a ball off the upright. Come on, man.
Ay, Dios míos.
I would not be surprised, though, and I will say this now. Yes, I know we're 10 games in. I would not be surprised by the end of the year. We start getting everybody back and everything starts going. I still think Jose will either tie or break the Owls record for most consecutive field goals.
Listen,
I think he will pass Sean White.
And again, that's some great company to be in. We've talked about that before. I mean, Sean White's still doing it, at a top level and looking fantastic in doing so. So I mean, like, for Jose Matos Diaz to be in that same kind of company, I if I'm him, I would be very honored to be in there. And if he could bypass Whitey and the record he set here in Montreal, I mean, that's a huge win right there. And then, and also too, I think all this is basically going to cement Jose Matos Diaz as like unanimous for most outstanding special teams player for the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, the guy has just been money more often than not. I mean, compared to what Saskatchewan's going through right now with their field goal kicker. I mean, listen,
Yeah, they've signed somebody. Yeah.
Maltos Diaz is not perfect by any stretch, but I tell you what, 9 times out of 10, I'll go, or even 8 times out of 10, he's your man. He's the guy that's going to do it, and he's done. There's been times when he's been the only one scoring points for the Montreal Alouettes. So I mean, like we will not tolerate any slander on Jose Maltos Diaz here. I mean, guy is doing the best he can and doing pretty darn good as a result.
Yeah, no kidding. Defense. Yes, I know we're jumping ahead because there are other things to talk about here, obviously, in this game. Uh, the defense itself, I mean, Darnell Sankey, Cliff, 11 tackles. See, this seems to be the Darnell Sankey that we remember. We've seen some games this year where I think he's had as little as 3, if I remember correctly. One quarterback sack by Tyvis Beverett on a shoestring tackle. We had an interception by Beverett. I mean, it was just it was one of those bad passes by Nathan Warwick, and Bev was just there.
Right place at the right time.
Yep. Fumble return was Najee Murray. He got that one that was could have helped the Alouettes, but didn't. And yeah, I mean, as I said, other than that, I mean, there were some things to talk about. Obviously, the Micah Awe thing we've not heard yet. What the league's going to be doing with that one, because they haven't released the thing. I don't think they've released the punishments yet.
Usually that's
we'll
on
see.
Thursday, so we may find out tomorrow during the game what the final outcome was. And truthfully, I'm expecting just a fine, but I'm hoping a decent fine, because that hit on David Dallaire, unacceptable. I mean, that was spearing. The official call in the field was spearing. I mean,
are you surprised by that call?
No, that's because that seems to be what they're calling it right now. Because I know in the NCAA they call it targeting. You could also call it unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness, but I mean, spearing would be more, because again, he literally was leading with the crown of his helmet right into the side of Dallaire's head, essentially, and there's no place for that at all. And it's unfortunate because Micah Awe has a bit of a reputation when it comes to that. I mean, when he was playing for Montreal, there's a couple of times where he was really right on the line as far as some of his tackles and just that aggressive style that he plays.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a fine line between aggressive play and flat out head hunting, and that's exactly what Michael Awe was doing this past Saturday. I mean, he already had a roughing the passer penalty against him. Between that and what he did to David Dallaire, I mean, I would have thrown his ass out of there. Meanwhile, if someone gets 2 misconduct penalties, that's when they're expelled from the game. But what Awe was able to do, and he's still able to keep on playing, that's acceptable.
That's why I was wondering about the call itself, between spearing and, I think they would call one unnecessary roughness, a helmet to helmet hit. I'm curious. I'm really curious because I think they thought about it. They thought about it at first. I think they may have got some insight from the eye in the sky, from the replay center. I was very surprised with the call, because to me, yes, spear, but there is a difference between spearing and targeting, in my opinion. But yeah, and again, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the flag not thrown at first?
I don't believe there was, no. Or was there something else? I think there was another penalty that was going on too. I think that maybe that, and then that was sort of only brought to light afterwards.
Yeah, I said by the replay center. So
yeah,
obviously, James Morgan throwing his first CFL touchdown, which there have been few and far between for the Alouettes over the past 4 games. They've had 3.
And at that point, it was too little, too late. But again, it doesn't take away from the accomplishment. So yes, kudos to James Morgan for his first professional CFL touchdown.
And obviously, along with that too, the route itself ran by Tyler Snead was amazing also.
Yeah, and he actually caught that in traffic and was able to get the yak and all the way into the end zone. I mean, that impressive, very impressive. And in a perfect world, you would have seen that a couple more times. But I mean, BC's defense, which have been spotty at best at times. I mean, again, they came alive for this game. There's no other way to say it. The offense for BC came alive as well. It really felt like they needed this game so badly. They were looking forward to this game to really reset themselves, and they did.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to them. I mean, Nathan Rourke, I think, once again played lights out football as he should be doing each and every game. But even the past couple of games, he's been good, but not great. I mean, or at least hasn't looked like the guy that came in 2022 and lit the league on fire. But he's also had a couple of games where he has this year. So I mean, which one was going to show up? Unfortunately, it was Nathan Rourke that decided to be Kid Canada and just carve up the Alouettes.
And Keon Hatcher, I just saw this stat now. He was perfect on the night. 11 targets, 11 receptions. That's insane.
And if I'm not mistaken, like 200 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, it's just insane. On passing alone, on receptions alone, it was 156.
I mean, the receiving core for
insane.
BC is like sneaky good, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, everybody's focusing on Justin McInnes and Javon Catoy, Aiden Eberhardt. I mean, these are the names that typically will help Nathan Rourke light it up. I mean, Keon Hatcher had been sort of kind of a ghost the past few weeks, but again, there must be something about Montreal. It's like, yep, I'm coming alive for this one, and boy, howdy did he ever.
Mm-hmm. But obviously, with James Morgan coming in, it means that we lost a quarterback. Whether it be we lost a quarterback.
We lost our starting quarterback.
We lost a starting quarterback. That's true.
Again. For the third time in 2025, the Montreal Alouettes lost their starting quarterback due to injury.
Right. And this one literally hurts because I feel it was almost a year to the day that Caleb got hurt, got his last knee injury. Almost a year to the day.
It's uncanny.
And I feel so bad for this guy. I really do.
Yeah, and we've been hyping him up. We've been looking forward to this game because, again, we saw what he was able to do in training camp. Because, again, once the Alouettes signed him in the offseason, it was almost felt like, okay, you're kind of helping each other out. You're doing him a solid by giving him a job, essentially, a chance to come back after that injury. And then he obviously wanted to prove himself again and prove that, he is who he says he is. And we talked about what a great training camp he had. We talked about his preseason. Looked extremely solid. Looked like, he wasn't going to be a world beater, but he looked like a guy who could make some noise if given the opportunity. And we've been calling for him. Like the minute Davis Alexander was put on the 6-game list, again, nothing against McLeod Bethel Thompson, but he did not look nearly as good leading up to the games that he played in. As far as I'm concerned, Caleb Evans should have played against Edmonton. And I'll even go so far as to say had he played against Edmonton the entire game, the Alouettes would have won that one. And going into this game against BC, they would have, he would have had that momentum. He would have had some true reps underneath him. He would have got that winning feeling again. And let's not forget, until this game, he was still very much undefeated as a Montreal Alouette starter. But again, with basically one practice last week, barely a chance, flying over 3 time zones to get to BC. I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster to start with. And unfortunately, Caleb played solid to start, but, could only could only get the team into field goal range for Jose Matos Diaz. Couldn't really get a chance to get going. And then finally, once he was, then felled by injury. And, we saw he couldn't even put weight on his knee. Like, that's how bad it was. And I'm sure your thought, the same as mine, was, oh crap, what now? And yeah, thinking back to the fact that it was around this time last year that he too basically lost his season due to a knee injury. And you hope for the best, but you got to prepare yourself for the worst. And sure enough, when they announced that he tore his ACL, like, oh, son of a bitch. Like,
yeah.
bad things happen to good people all the time, and Caleb Evans, unfortunately, is no exception to that. I mean, what can you do? What can you say at this point? I mean, it's you feel for the kid. I mean, it's just all he wants to do is play football and showcase what he's able to do. He's more than just a short yardage guy. He just needs a chance to. But I mean, he does that very well. Let's not take it away from that. But this was Caleb's opportunity to showcase what he can do, and it just feels like he got his legs cut out from him. No pun intended. Yet again, like this was his opportunity, and he couldn't make the most of it. The damn injury bug bites yet again.
It really was an innocuous play, eh? I mean, we've seen stuff we've seen some stuff where you get your like Tyson. What happened to Tyson getting his foot stuck in the turf? This seemed kind of innocuous, right? I mean, I don't know if it was caused by the tackle on the play, but I'm trying to remember which was worse. It's weird to say this. Which was worse, the one this year or the one last year? And I think it was last year's was worse versus Hamilton.
Yeah, because I think he took a pretty hellacious hit, and there too couldn't even put weight on his leg, and you knew it was bad. You knew it was his knee. You knew it was bad, and you basically knew his season was gone. This instance, so like I think it was a combination of the hit plus possibly the turf monster, just holding his foot in place and his knee just going where it shouldn't go. I think it was just a series of unfortunate events that just led to Caleb Evans tearing his ACL. And again, it's not the career killer that it used to be like 30 years ago, but still you're basically looking at, see you next year. That's basically it for Caleb Evans. And that's the part that really, really sucks is, he's tried so hard to prove himself and show that he could be a part of this team, and just snake bitten more than anything else. I mean, that seems to be the theme this year for the Montreal. If you're a quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes, at some point you are going to get injured. It really just is a matter of when. I mean, Davis Alexander with his hammy, MBT with his feelings. I mean, his elbow, and now Caleb Evans with his ACL. So if I'm the Alouettes right now, if I'm James Morgan, Cameron Dukes, and we'll talk about our newest quarterback in a second, but if I'm the Alouettes, I am bubble wrapping everybody right now that is under center. Like,
I think they're going to be selling it at the boutique this week.
I don't know if you can
rolls of bubble tape, bubble wrap.
I don't know if you can make a country theme out of it, but you got to do something to keep these guys healthy. My word. Yeah. I mean, injuries are going to happen to everybody, but it feels like this year especially it's too much. Like the 1-game list looks like a friggin' all-star lineup.
Well, I think that, and I was just about to mention that too, is that we went through this last year, and it just wasn't the major names on it. I mean, there were names that we knew that were an integral part of the offense and defense. But this year, as I said, I'm trying. It's another question here. It's funny. Whenever I'm talking on Flightdeck Live or talking to you, I come up with an idea. It's like, when was the last? Well, we know when the last time the Alouettes have gone through this many starters coming up this week with James starting. It was at least 2018. The Owls had 5. And it brings everything into. We talked about this when we didn't have a number one. When Cody Fajardo was it, and then Davis was it. With James starting this week, it's going to be 23 quarterbacks have started for the Alouettes since AZ went down in 2013.
That's wild.
I mean, and those are we obviously we had some good quarterbacks. Rakeem Cato was good for a while. Jonathan Crompton was good for a while.
Tanner Marsh, as we just mentioned.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn. I mean, it's and then it brought in Vernon Adams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's history. I get it, but you still gotta feel for the dude. I just, again, as I said, we similar last year with how many people. I had to go back and check how many are on it currently, but I'm trying to remember the last time again. that sure it was starters.
Hmm.
We had multiple starters that were rotating, but it wasn't necessarily because of injury. You know what I mean? I'm trying to remember the last time that the Owls have had 3 of their starters. Basically, what was at start of camp, all 3 of them are on the 6 game.
Hmm.
So
I think back to 2015. The first game the Alouettes played, when was it not Jonathan Crompton and Dan Lefevre both got knocked out of the game?
I think it's almost in back-to-back plays.
Almost, or not very. They weren't. Wasn't too far from it. Like, I mean, that would have to
Yeah.
be the closest to what we've experienced so far in 2025, as far as your quarterbacks dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm. It was just Hamilton, if I remember correctly. That was Hamilton.
Ottawa.
Was it Ottawa?
It was the home
For some
opener was
reason,
against Ottawa.
Hamilton's in my head. For some reason, it's in my head. But yeah.
That was basically the start of the downward spiral for the Alouettes.
Yeah. What year did you say it was?
2015.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. Cato, Marsh, Crompton. But we had, yeah. And Crompton gets hurt.
It was Crompton, Dan Lefevre, and then Brandon Bridge finished that game.
It was versus Ottawa. I know we're talking about this on the pod now. It's like, come on, guys, get your. But hey, that's what happens when we talk about stuff that leads into other stuff. Because the Ottawa game, Crompton started, then Cato came in the next game, second game of the year versus Calgary.
Right.
Was it the first game of the year? Or was it versus Saskatchewan? No, it wasn't. No, it was at home. I remember, because it was at home. And then we bring in Kevin Glenn. We signed Kevin Glenn.
Traded for
Kevin Glenn. Thank you. And Kevin Glenn became the first CFL quarterback in history to play for 2 different teams, to start for 2 different teams
against the same opponent
in consecutive weeks.
That's right.
So I'm going to reach out to Steve Dan, see if we can get some more information. I know it's just stuff to talk about.
So all this to say is that yes, the quarterback woes. We're used to it here at the Alouettes Flight Deck. It's something. We've seen this before. We've lived through this. And I even talked about this during Flight Deck Live. There's a lot of doom and gloomers that they're in their feelings about what's going on right now in 2025. And I just have to say again that y'all wouldn't have survived this Alouettes team from 2015 to 2019, basically. Y'all wouldn't have survived because
it was losing streak. Do they not remember the losing streak? We set a team record for a losing streak.
We sure did. Going into it spanned 2 seasons as well, 2016 and 2017. Or no, sorry, 2017 to 2018. Sorry.
I mean, come on. Don't tell us stuff that we don't know.
Hell, I mean, I'm not saying that's why we started this podcast, just to talk about how terrible that era was, but I'm not saying it either.
We were on the cusp. Luckily, we were on the cusp of garbage. And going, since you mentioned it before, because we're going to lead into we'll do the ad read here, then we'll go next. But I mean, any last words to finally put this thing to bed? We got Winnipeg this week on a short week, which we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. And all these interesting, news and notes that came out of practice this week, the only day of practice. But I mean, I like your idea. I joked about, petitioning the league in canceling the game, but I kind of like your idea. And I think you mentioned it on the show on Flight Deck Live, is that with what's happening next year with FIFA and the World Cup at BC and in Toronto, BC's losing 2 games, 2 home games at BC plays.
Correct.
So the question is, where will they be and when will they be? I think it'll be at the beginning of the season. I think it literally will be at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. Because they can't use BC place for an extended period of time.
Right.
Because they're going to have to put in natural grass.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, you never know. We'll see. But for me, done. Last 2 weeks. What tape? I don't know what you're talking. Last 3 weeks. I don't know what you're
Never,
talking about.
never happened. You need that. Was it the light pen from Men in Black? Like just
The same thing.
the mind
Here,
eraser, I think it's called.
look at this light.
Yeah,
Look right here, sir.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of to expand upon what you started to talk about. Yes, we joked about, can the Alouettes just stay home, take the loss, forfeit, and all that. If it was only that easy, but let's be honest. I mean, people are buying tickets, season ticket holders out in BC. That's part of their plan. That's part of their thing that they agreed to have this game. This game has to be played, even if, like, barring some major circumstances. It can't be delayed due to the weather because it's in a dome. So, I mean, unless there's, even lightning, I don't think would be able to stop it because it's indoors. But all this to say, the Alouettes do have to play this game. My question to the league and the schedule makers and everybody else that's involved with this: can we petition to have the Alouettes play their first game of the season at BC Place? If it's going to be a loss. I think that's painfully obvious now. I just as soon have this team be 0-1 to start the season and just get it over with, unless you can promise to have a bye week afterwards. Like the Alouettes go to BC Place, play their game, lose as they invariably will, but then you go on the bye. Like this nonsense. Like, for example, this year of the Alouettes go to BC Place. Last Saturday, they come home. Those 3 time zones you fly over again. Your body has to get back onto East Coast time. Ultimately, there's only, and you're playing again on Thursday. It's very much a short week. You only have one practice, like one full practice and a walkthrough if you're lucky. And I'm sorry, like that's not a recipe for success for anybody. And I don't care how you try to spin it. It's not right. I mean, we've seen in the past too where the Alouettes played Thanksgiving Monday, and then flew to BC Place to play on the Saturday. I believe that was last year, if I'm not mistaken. And
it was
what a shit show that was. Again, still not it's not right. It's not right. And I know, like, the other Eastern teams like Hamilton, Toronto, Ottawa, they got to go through the same thing the Alouettes do, and they don't seem to have any problems with it. Like, well, fine. Sometimes that works out, but I would say invariably, when you're making the schedule, I think you should find a way to include it so that if an East Coast team goes all the way out to BC, their bye week is the next week. It has to be in the interest of fairness. And I'll say conversely too for BC, because they got to go out east and play Montreal, Hamilton, Toronto, Ottawa. There's got to be a way that you can stagger the schedule to make that work, or give them a bye week or two interspersed with that, so that they too can recover. I mean, obviously BC doesn't seem to have too many problems coming to Montreal. Like, whatever seems to be affecting the Alouettes doesn't seem to affect the BC Lions in the same way. It's still the idea, though, that you're still going over 3 time zones, and you have to play a game again, even if it's at home, in the span of like 4 or 5 days. I'm sorry, the body cannot properly recover as a result of that. So, I mean, I know a lot of things are going to be displaced next year because of the World Cup, especially when it comes to Vancouver or BC and Toronto. My hope is that the Alouettes can play their first game at BC, whether it's at BC Place or even if it's against the Lions at their new location, wherever that may be, whether it's they rebuild Empire Field, or they play in Victoria or somewhere else in BC. Whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think the Alouettes really truly should be the first game the BC Lions play in BC. And either that, or you make it a point to make sure that every East Coast team that goes out to BC is on the bye the next week, and vice versa, or at least, make the schedule a little more friendly for the BC Lions when they have to go out east to play.
I get it. By the way, breaking news. No, not really. Alouettes in their history, Cliff, have started at BC to start the season twice in their history. 2018 And the Vince Ferragamo-led Alouettes in 1981.
Do I
So
dare
it's
ask you?
happened.
I know the
Oh,
2018 result.
both of them were losses.
Okay, so fine. So you start your season 0-1. Okay, it happens. Hey, listen, you think Alouettes fans are going to be upset because the team lost on the road? I mean, it happens. You know, but I truly think that it's so much better to get that over with. Just get it done, over with, and let this team. I just think it'd be better for all parties involved. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if whoever it is at the league that listens to this podcast, and again, I'm appealing once again to the schedule makers. I know it's a tough, almost thankless job. You're never going to make everybody happy, but I think in this instance, if you can schedule the Montreal Alouettes to play the BC Lions the very first game of 2026 and beyond, we'd be a little bit happier, or at least less mad. I guess let's put it that way. And then not have the Alouettes play their next game, like basically the next Thursday, which is bunk as far as I'm concerned. But
2023, by the way, they played their first home. They played their first. It was their. They played their second game of the year. No, it wasn't. But they played. It was their second home away game of the year that they played in
yes,
BC. But anyways, so as 2023. Either way, I digress. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, and don't forget we are on social media. All the podcast aggregates should have us. So just do a search for Alouettes Flight Deck. If you want to check out the entire archive, all 9+ seasons of the podcast, head over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. Also, there you will be able to check out the audio version too. By the way, of Flight Deck Live. It's getting a lot of traction there. We thank every one of you for listening. If you're looking to follow us on social media, you can do so on X and Blue Sky over at Alouettes FL Deck, on Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, you can find the full broadcast version and the audio version of the podcast. And also, you can find our post-game show, Flight Deck Live, which will be coming to you every week as long as the Alouettes have a home or an away game. Whether Cliff and I are on the road somewhere, whether Cliff and I are in the Laurentians or in Upper Quebec, or if we are actually on site in that particular away stadium, you will find us having a show every week after every Alouettes game. If you're looking for gear, because remember, coming up, Thanksgiving, it may be the home finale for the Alouettes, but it is still going to be our annual meet and greet. You now have time to go ahead and pick up any shirt that we have there, including the Cartoon Bird 56 shirt. I think that's really where it got started, was year one for that one. And I'm hoping not to have COVID on it this year.
if you could avoid that, that'd
head
be
over to
great.
head over to flightdeckgear.ca and pick up your merch there. And also, once again, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Royal Retros. If you go to royalretros.com and use the code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. Is there other stuff that we want them to do too when it comes to YouTube?
I mean, you got to hit that like button, folks. I mean, if you love the show, give it that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed as well, and hit the notification bell so that when we do go live, whether it is with a Flight Deck Live or with this episode, for example, or any of the others that happen to go up on the YouTubes, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment too, because that really does help us. If you love the show, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell your family, tell everybody. If you don't like the show, tell us. We want to make it better. If we're doing a great job, let us know. If we're not doing a great job, also let us know. So yeah, make sure if you are on the YouTubes, make sure you be a part of Alouettes Nation. Make sure you're part of the flight crew here at the Flight Deck. So yeah, do it to it. Get that thumbs up going.
Get us 300. we're getting close. We're getting close. I never thought I'd say it, but we are getting close. So,
And
so
we
the Owls
appreciate each and
again,
everybody that does subscribe
oh yeah,
and follows along. So, yes.
for sure. Yeah. We short week. We know that already. We knew
Yep.
as of last week, we knew it was going to be a short week. One
Mhm.
practice. The post practice scrum was very interesting. The one that they had this week was Danny Machocha, Coach Moss, uh, Beverett, and James Morgan.
Mm.
Interesting tidbits in there. Um, the Owls are currently a 6-point underdog, but you know, take away 3 if you give them the home, whatever.
Mm.
So no, that means it would be 9. Never mind. Either way,
Yeah.
one of the things to me, and obviously with James Morgan getting his first CFL start this week, is that prior to practice or during practice, a tweet came out from Joey Alfieri, director of communications for the Owls. And this is one of the things that I think a lot of people have been waiting to hear. And I think it's different this time around because we heard when, the first time that Davis went out with his hamstring, maybe they didn't do it properly at the right time. Because as you know, if you've been listening to the show all year, we saw a potential hamstring injury start at camp. We did. And they're taking the time right this time around. But it was interesting to hear the names that were not necessarily taking a part in practice officially, but it was just the names that were actually out there working out. They weren't taking therapy days at the stadium.
Mm.
It was mentioned. Davis Alexander was out there throwing, not officially practicing, but throwing.
Mhm.
Mac was out there doing stuff on the sideline. KB Nentos, I think we found out he's going to be, he is active for this week.
Mhm.
Mustafa Johnson,
Mm.
that was a huge name to
That's
hear.
a name we have not heard in a long, long, long time.
Yeah. I'm trying to go through the things here. What were the other names that were I'm
James
checking it
Letcher
now.
also.
Yep. That's a surprise in itself. I guess it wasn't as it's funny to say. It wasn't as bad a break.
It's not so broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Letcher. For those of you that aren't aware, James Letcher unfortunately broke his hand a few weeks ago, and if he's out there in some way, shape, or form, I guess things are getting better. Or I don't know if he would play with an air cast or something. I mean, it's not like
Mm, mm.
that's one of those
For
things.
Turner, that's tough. That's tough. By the way, the other
That,
name, Tyson freaking Philpott. That was also named. He was also name dropped also. So those are positives going into this tough week. Again, to me, honestly, getting a Nento back is very important. Very important. Help them with a little bit, with with what's happening on the defensive side. Maybe it might be able to improve the defense a little bit better.
well, what it does too is it does let. Well, now that with Ento back, it does let Keontae Evans switch over to halfback.
Yep.
So you've basically got Najee Murray, KB Nento, Wesley Sutton, Keontae Evans. That's your secondary right there, which is I'll say it, a marked improvement over what's been out there the past couple of weeks. So it's encouraging because we know what KB Nento has been able to what he's able to do for this team and the things he has done in the past to help bolster this defense. So I think, yeah, just hearing that, I think it's definitely going to be a sigh of relief for Alouettes Nation because, I mean, this defense, when they're fully healthy, yeah, they're practically unstoppable. But as we've seen over the past few weeks, due to the massive injuries that have taken place in the secondary, yeah, they have not looked themselves. And that's because
No.
the vast majority have been on the injured list. So having KB Nento come back is definitely a welcome sight for sure.
What's your thought on this? By the way, the Alouettes, and we talk about everybody the Owls have picked up, but we knew about Cameron Dukes. He was picked up last week, but also Shea Patterson is back with the Alouettes now. And I joked to you on via text when we heard it come out what number he was going to be wearing. He's going to be wearing number 7. Look at the last couple quarterbacks have been 7 for the Alouettes. And if everybody doesn't remember, name them, please.
Well, the most recent one would be Cody Fajardo.
Mm-hmm.
Before that would be one Trevor Harris.
Yup.
So yeah, I mean, let's not forget
who was 7 in camp.
Sorry,
who was 7 in camp?
Oh, geez.
Was that Jonathan Senegal?
No, he was 15.
Yeah.
Some other camp body they brought in, and yeah,
some rando. Yeah. Thoughts on and not beyond that too. I said obviously with caving back stuff like that. What's your thought? By the way, Patterson's active. What's your thought on STE is going to be a game time decision, but yet he is currently on the depth chart, being listed as that.
Yes.
Al's going with potentially 3 running backs again.
Well,
I guess maybe putting STE 3rd on the depth chart and putting him as a GTD. It's not.
It's a fail
really
safe.
That. Yeah.
Because I mean, again, if he's not 100%, he shouldn't be out there. But if he's being listed on the depth chart to start with, that's a good sign. That is a positive sign that he must feel like he's ready to go. But I mean, with only 1 practice this week, I mean, do you really get a chance to truly know how he's feeling? And maybe he felt maybe he could have gone last week in BC if they truly needed him, and they're just holding him out just just to be on the safe side. And maybe this is another case of that as well. I mean, I couldn't see the Alouettes stressing all 3 running backs in this instance, just with how tenuous things are with the injury list right now. Don't get me wrong, I'd be thrilled if SC truly feels like he's 100% ready to go. Then yeah, let him play, because when he's on the field, he definitely does outstanding stuff. But I'm kind of the opinion, same like with when Davis Alexander came back and won that game against Toronto, and it ultimately led him back onto the 6th game, or back to being on the injured list.
Right.
There is something to be said about coming back a week too soon versus a week too late. I mean, I want STE ready to go for the playoff stretch. I want him to be good to go in September, October, and November, essentially.
Right.
Like this team runs through him, essentially, when it comes to the running back position. I mean, Travis Tice has done a fantastic job in his place. Stevie Scott, I want to believe he can be that guy as well, or at least a very capable backup. And we haven't had a chance to see too much of that yet. But, I mean, this team, by and large, when it comes to the running back position, it goes through Sean Thomas Erlington. And I don't want to see the Alouettes put him in a position to fail. And if he's not ready to go, I mean, I get the whole game time decision thing, but you know what? If he's not, even if he is at 100%, a little part of me is kind of saying, you know what? Take this game off. Let's see what Stevie Scott can do in relief. With Tice and Scott back there, and Jordan Mason also in the fullback position, he could also do running back as well if need be.
Right.
I'd rather STE take really make sure he's. Again, I think at this point now you have to be at 200%, not 100%, but 200%. Same thing with Davis Alexander. Like, even if he can be pulled off at any time, and I'm sure he's itching to go too. But at this point, with those guys, and just for what they bring to this team, I want them at 200%, not 100%, because I think 100% isn't 100% is not 100% anymore. I mean, I want to be doubly sure that these guys are fully healthy, ready to go, and they can't be set back again. Like, this team cannot afford setbacks when it comes to those particular players. I mean, a lot of the players that are on the injured list right now, they don't they shouldn't be on there. I mean, they should be out there playing and playing well. And the only way they're going to play well is if they're healthy. At this point, especially with what the Alouettes have had to endure so far in 2025, it's got to be 200% or bust. I mean, they're, as far as I'm concerned, that's how it's got to be. I mean, if you want this team to be successful, you want this team to go to the playoffs, and God forbid get back to the Grey Cup game, you need all your parts working at a premium level. And we don't want to
that's why they're doing what they're doing with Alexander.
Exactly.
They've already stated that, maybe they should have given him another week. I don't know.
Exactly. Like, hindsight's always 2020. And I'm sure, like, again, if you ask them, you ask these players, they're 100%. They're ready to go. They'll get on the field tomorrow, and they'll do everything they can to win. And I love that attitude. But at the same time, sometimes these guys need to be safe from themselves. And I mean, hindsight's always 2020. It's easy to say, well, you really shouldn't have had Alexander back there against Toronto. Like, give him another week. As we talked about, MBT shouldn't have been out there. If he was dealing with an injury before, he shouldn't have been out there. It should have been Caleb.
Yeah,
Evans.
I know. That's. We knew it wasn't the same MBT because, again, look at his stats. Even though his record was 3-10, I've already said this year. You saw what he threw for when he was with Edmonton. You knew something. Now, again, hindsight's 2020. Now knowing this, it's the same thing again. I'll make the mention of Cody from last year.
Exactly.
Getting hurt with hurt ribs in Ottawa.
Yeah,
I mean,
and hiding it, and ultimately letting the team down when you think about it. So I mean, but again, as we said, hindsight's 2020. We're looking forward now, and now it's James Morgan, Cameron Dukes, who again, if called into action, I'm looking forward to seeing, and Shea Patterson, which is a very interesting wrinkle, I must say, in the sense that apparently the team had been trying to get him back sooner. I guess when maybe when they found out MBT was injured and trying to fight through it. I don't know if it was a visa thing or what it was that delayed in Patterson coming back to Montreal. But I think it's a move that a move that had to be made, no question, especially with the injury to Caleb Evans. But at least when Shea Patterson was here, he got limited playing time, but the potential was there. For whatever reason, Trevor Harris playing the way he was in Montreal, he wasn't going to give up the field anytime soon to a rookie like Patterson. But interestingly enough, Trevor Harris must have seen something in him, because when Harris went to the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2023, Shea Patterson followed him there. Now, obviously, I think Shea Patterson saw the value in like what a Trevor Harris can teach you as far as being a quarterback in this league. And when Harris went down to injury, Patterson got into the game. Unfortunately, didn't play all that great as a member of the Riders, but one can't help but wonder now, was it the system? Was it just the way things were set up? What was the reason why it didn't work out for Patterson in Saskatchewan? Could coming back here, could this be the right system for him? Maybe. I mean, at this point, the Alouettes definitely needed somebody with experience. Like we talked about during Flightdeck Live, could they come back to Jonathan Senecal and offer him something? I think maybe if Patterson wasn't available, maybe if there was a whole bunch of other guys that just weren't available, maybe then. But ultimately, you do want to go with someone who has CFL experience. Cameron Dukes has CFL experience. Shea Patterson does have.
Yeah, we have all three now. Technically, all three of them have CFL experience.
Yes. And yes, even though this is technically James Morgan's first official start as a quarterback in the Canadian Football League, he has participated in games. So he does have a CFL experience. So now we'll see what happens now against a Winnipeg Blue Bombers team that, in a lot of ways, Tim, I find are a lot like the Alouettes right now. They're mid.
Yeah.
Both these teams have had impressive wins this year and looked great and won season series. And then they've had games where they just got the brakes beat off them and looked absolutely terrible. And you're left wondering what the hell is going on. Winnipeg kind of going through it with quarterbacking a little bit. I mean, Zach Collaros has not been healthy in spurts this year. Chris Strevler is Chris Strevler. I mean, he's looked good in some instances and looked absolutely terrible in others. I mean, he's the definition of mid as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
to be fair, Stribler has burned the Owls in the past, but this, to me, it's not the same Chris Stribler who did that.
That was then. This is now. I mean, we're again. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because in 2016, Chris Strevler was the starting quarterback at the Alouettes home opener, and they got whooped by the Bombers badly. And Strevler looked like a friggin' god in that game. He's had his moments, but I mean, if he was going to be a starting quarterback in this league or anywhere for that matter, it would have happened by now. And I kind of liken him to a very solid insurance policy. I mean, if Zach Collaros goes down to injury, you can give the ball to Strevler and he won't completely F things up. I mean, what helps is that Winnipeg is surrounded by some very talented players still. And even though they've lost quite a few players in free agency this year, there's still a pretty decent lineup. I mean, as long as you got Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski in tow, I mean, that's going to help your cause big time. I mean, I can't believe did I read this correctly? Brady Oliveira only scored his first rushing touchdown of the season last week against Ottawa.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The last 2 years, it's been really weird for him, and yet he got the
most
award
outstanding Canadian.
Anyways.
Go. No, yeah, we're not going to bring that up. That just angries up the
point. Yeah. By the way, to our tweet, I had to bring this up now since where Tanner Marsh did chime in to the thing we were talking about earlier in the show about him having the most most yards coming off the bench for the Alouettes. Not only did he have 329 yards, Cliff, but he had 70 yards rushing. And this is, to me, is apropos, considering what we're going through now and what we're going through with the starter. So Kavia was out because of the concussion. Owls did not have Brandon Whitaker. Offensive lineman Scott Flory. Offensive lineman Andrew Woodruff. Jamal Richardson. They did not have Josh Bork, Brandon London, or Kyrie Zabear in that game. Does that seem familiar from what the current Alouettes are going through?
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny. History has a way of repeating itself at times, doesn't it?
And for those, again, this was the BC. This was the rain game versus BC in 2013.
And they found a way to win. I mean, and that's really ultimately what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen.
It's on YouTube, by the way. People go watch it. Look it up. It's on YouTube. The game is on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a holy crap moment when Marsh just launched the absolute bomb down to Eric Deslauriers with, I think there was 8-9 seconds left on the clock. Just enough time to clock it and let Sean White kick the game-winning field goal. I mean, that was cinema right there. I mean, that was insane. Absolutely insane. And so, I mean, that team was, oh boy. 2013 was a trip, man.
Yeah. Now, so think, as I said, sometimes past can kind of mimic the future. And we'll see what happens. I mean,
and sometimes the football guides are like, okay, you know what? These clowns have suffered enough. Let's give them a little something. So,
yeah.
And again,
this is the thing right now. Zach Collaros, by the way. I mean, we're talking about Winnipeg. This is the same Zach Collaros. Zach Collaros has been up and down. He hasn't for the last couple of years, really. We saw how bad he was. Again, how bad he was in the playoffs. I'm sure they got to the Grey Cup, but he was. Again, it's a consistency thing for him in the playoffs. He's been consistently bad in the playoffs.
Well, the past couple of years,
I mean, Hall of Famer? Yeah, sure.
100%.
Could be a Hall of Famer.
100%.
But it's just been up and down. I mean,
when he's on, he's on.
I don't think VA Jekyll and Hyde, but it's been close.
And again, he's gone through injuries. He's gone through tough starts. He's lost, teammates that have been, great for him as well. I mean, he's gone through it as well. I mean, every quarterback does. But yeah, when it comes to like playing in November, you just never know who you're going to get when it comes to Zach Collaros. During the regular season, though, I mean, and again, he always seems to find a way to shine against Montreal in the regular season, and that's what he does. So, I mean, I expect him to have a decent game tomorrow. But if he gets knocked out, kind of like what Montreal did to Calgary a couple of weeks ago, knocking VA out of the game, Damon Alford out of the game, Adrian Green out of the game. I mean, if Montreal, I'm not looking for it to happen. I'm not hoping it happens, but I mean, if Winnipeg goes through a couple of injuries and they got to throw people out there that maybe aren't quite ready to play in prime time, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of this league, is that truly anything can happen. I mean, I see the experts have already decided that Winnipeg is going to win this game in a walk, and who could blame them, considering, as we talked about, Montreal just came back from BC. It's a short week. I mean, this game has failure written all over it for the Alouettes, but sometimes it's those games where the Alouettes just basically say F you to the haters, the critics, the naysayers, and just come out with some sort of effort that just, gets them the W. I'm not saying that's going to happen necessarily this week, but all I can say is tune in, because it's still football. It's still the Alouettes. I'm curious to see what James Morgan can do in the starting role. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work, you've got Cameron Dukes, you've got Shea Patterson, you've got some guys coming back to the lineup. I mean, this is not a bad team. I mean, like, neither of these teams are bad by any stretch. They're just right now they're kind of in a weird spot. I mean, I look back to 2023. This time in 2023, the Alouettes were 6-4 and about to go on a losing streak. I mean, they were mid. I mean, I always say you are what your record says you are, and they were mid, but they caught fire at the right time, and look what happened. There's no reason to think that maybe especially once all these guys like Davis Alexander and James Letcher and Tyson Philpott and so on, once these guys come back and get healthy for September and October, this team can go on a run like they did in 2023. It's absolutely possible. I mean, they don't have to prove that they're the best team in the CFL, but they have to come back and win. And if they can do that, we're going to look back at this time period and we're going to be laughing our asses off, because I think Alouettes Nation's kind of going through it right now. Like I said, last week, they were kind of in their feelings a bit when it came to, that pitiful performance out in BC. I get it. I totally get it. But don't give up hope yet. I mean, anything can happen in this league. That's kind of what makes it so wonderful. And so, like, this is why people absolutely love the Canadian Football League, is things can turn on a dime, both good and bad. And right now the Alouettes are in it, but a couple things bounce their way a little bit. You never know what's going to happen. So the only thing I can say to the naysayers and the doubters and the doom and gloomers, as I like to call them, just wait. Just wait. Things are going to get better. They have to. There's, just like, was it Jelly Roll, who was at Lasso this week? It's not okay, but everything's going to be all right.
I mean, he lost at SummerSlam, and he improved himself. So
there you go.
Bringing the wrestling back again. Bringing the wrestling back. Nobody commented bad comment about our wrestling show.
Maybe a reason for
not
that.
Not a single comment. Not even from Mike. Not a single comment.
Oh, you just made us weak.
Yeah, I'm expecting a comment. Stay tuned to all of our socials. We will be live at Personal Molson post game, win or lose, to talk about the game. Would be cool if we could have somebody crash our live too. That's always fun, especially after a win. But give or take, when the game starts, give or take between 11 and 11:15 will most likely be when the show will go live. Stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, chime in. Let us know what you think. I mean, we've each brought up some points this week. I honestly think, Cliff, that we've not talked as highly about James Morgan as we have like Davis Alexander, but we've seen him grow in just a short period of time that he's been here. All the time on the practice roster, being cut from the practice roster, being brought back, and you know he's going to have his time to shine. I think this will be his first start since he started uh, with the Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL. I think. I
Mhm.
think. But I know it's his first start since spring football.
Well, and
So
if nothing else, the Alouettes kind of have a history when it comes to a rookie player showing up, showing out in training camp, turning some heads, getting cut, coming back, and playing
yeah,
outstanding football. Could that happen to James Morgan? I don't see why not. I like you. I don't. I'm leery about comparing him to Davis Alexander's story because it's not quite the same. But at the same
not yet.
time,
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
the potential is there as well. I definitely think James Morgan can play in this league and play well. I just don't want to saddle him with the expectation level of what Davis Alexander was because Davis it, they took their time with him, and I think in a sense they also took their time with James Morgan as well.
Mhm.
You can't quite expect the same style or amount of success from Morgan that we got from Alexander, but as long as he goes out there and plays the game of football that he knows and does the things that we saw him do in training camp and in the preseason, he's going to be just fine. And all we
And
can do at this
stop
point is
5 yard outs to Regis Sibasu, please, please, for the love of God.
that one. That's play calling though, and that's where you got to
I
look at.
know, but it's frustrating when you're down so much and they're doing these 5 yard outs.
I agree.
But we saw what James can do with his arm. That's the huge positive with James. And
Yeah,
he seems poised, despite being the O line being really lax, seemed to be lax and getting to him quite a few times. Didn't give up a sack, but his arm. And I think that's a positive that Alouettes Nation needs to look at for this week.
yeah.
Let's see what the play call is. Remember, first 15 plays or so are usually scripted. Let's see what they come up with.
Well, and this is where both Anthony Calvillo and Jason Moss are going to have to really truly put their thinking caps on and really come up with something that is going to highlight James's strengths and
Mhm.
downplay any shortcomings he may have. I mean, that's that's essentially what good coaching is all about. And
Mhm.
again, two former quarterbacks in this league, two guys that know how to win in this league, two guys that have won Grey Cups as starting quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah.
If nothing else, they'd be doing him a tremendous disservice by not getting him prepared based on who he is as a quarterback right now. So
Right.
we'll see what happens come game time. As you said, the first 15 plays or so are usually prepared in advance. So let's see what James can do. And like I said, just hope the young man is ready for prime time. He was kind of thrown into the fire last week, but at least now he's kind of been able to get ready. I mean, as ready as
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
can with a practice. But
And didn't look lost. That's the
true,
thing that I really took away from James. Did not look lost.
I agree. I agree. He did not. The moment didn't seem too big for him, even though again most people would have faltered on being thrown out there like that. But he, as best as he could, he did what he was able to. So that's why I feel confident with him going into this game as a starting quarterback, and he just has to take care of the little things. And as it just as long as the coaches have set him up for success and not failure, I think he'll be just fine. I really do.
I agree. So again, make sure you stay tuned to all of our socials for when we go live. And I gave you the time for it. It'll probably be about that. But if you can't be a personal Molson, watch the game on TV, English, French. I got my first bit, my first real taste of watching the game on RDS this past week. Um, it's a fun game to watch no matter the language. It's a fun game to watch no matter the language. Uh, but again, we'll be there post game, Flight Deck Live tomorrow night, Thursday football. Thursday football in August. What the hell? Anyways, well, yeah,
If
but
it
I know
helps, it's
how we feel about
if it
Thursday
helps, it's going to be
games.
the last Thursday night football game of the year.
Yes. We'll leave it at that. We
Yeah.
appreciate everybody who's joined us here for the show this week. So for everybody here at for everybody here at Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. Yeah, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.